Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Since 2024 is kind of coming to an end here, I thought I would do something fun to kind of commemorate this being a travel channel and all. A couple years ago I finally decided that I wanted to visit all the national parks in the United States as kind of like a bucket list item. And so far I have visited 19 out of, I believe the total right now is 63 parks in the United States. So a lot of those I visited this year and last year, 2023. I kind of only officially started posting videos on this channel this year, so I thought it would be kind of fun to just jump back for 2023 and 2024 and just talk about some of the my most favorite parks I've been to right now. Out of all 19 that I've been to so far, I think my number one is still going to jump back to Mount Rainier. I already did a Washington video, but I don't really think I did Mount Rainier justice. I went and visited that park in the fall of 2023, so it's been over a year already since I've been out there, and I still constantly think about Washington and how much fun I had on that trip. And I don't know if it was because it was my first week-long solo trip I did myself, or if Washington was just that pretty. I don't know. The whole trip was amazing. It felt so fun. I mean, don't get me wrong, the trip was not perfect. I would not recommend the place I stayed at while I was visiting Mount Rainier. So I can't say it's the allure of that national park that makes it so loving and great. It's definitely not the case. So Mount Rainier, Fremont Lookout Trail, still top hike I always talk to people about when they mention where's your favorite place you've been, what's your favorite hike. Mount Rainier, Mount Fremont Lookout Trail, number one. Number two, let's see. I think I gotta go with Glacier. Glacier National Park. We just went on that trip a couple months ago. Went in September 2024. Did it as part of a Grand Tetons, Glacier, and Yellowstone. And I'm gonna go ahead and say it now. I'm sure I will talk about this when I do that designated video, but Yellowstone was a real disappointment. It's definitely at the bottom of my list right now. Even below the Arch in St. Louis, and most people don't even consider that a national park. So I'll save this tangent though for that video. We don't need to dive into that right now. Back to Glacier. Glacier, gorgeous, amazing. The park is huge. If you've never been to Glacier, I recommend doing what I did not do. So Kareem and I went and we stayed in St. Mary's, and that was great for this trip, but I'll probably try and put up a map of the park, because staying in St. Mary's was great to be on East Glacier, but the only way to get from East to West Glacier is through going to the Sun Road. And going to the Sun Road is gorgeous, but one lane each way. You can't go fast on this road because you're literally going up one side and then coming down the other. And from East Glacier up to Logan Pass isn't that crazy. I felt comfortable driving that, but Kareem had to do the drive from Logan Pass to West Glacier every time we went, because on that stretch is when if you're heading to West Glacier, you are up against the side of the mountain for a good section of that road. And then if you're coming up, leaving West Glacier, then you are, on the edge of the road and you just look down and see absolutely nothing. So I couldn't handle that. Definitely grateful to have Kareem there, who's an amazing driver, and I trust him with my life, apparently. And he did well. I think we had to drive that stretch like 3 or 4 times in the 4-ish days we were there, because we kept trying to go back and forth because I did not plan this correctly. Anyway, Glacier, gorgeous. Going to the Sun Road, gorgeous. We drove up to Mini Glacier one day, and I will definitely be talking about this in this designated video. Did the Grinnell Glacier hike. So pretty. It's a rough one. It's definitely a rough one. It's like 11-ish miles round trip, and the whole part it's an out and back. So you already guessed it. You're out when you're heading to the glacier, you're just climbing. And like, you have amazing views along the way, but if you're not used to the elevation and climbing that much in a single hike, you gotta take it slow. So it can take you all day. We did it in a couple hours, and that's because we were kind of trekking it up. We had a family behind us who was kind of helping us pace. We wanted to make sure we were staying as close to them as we could and keeping time with them all the way up to the glacier. So we did end up actually doing like the entire hike, like there and back with this family. That hike, so pretty. I honestly, it's probably up there with the Mount Fremont Lookout Trail in Mount Rainier. But I think since that one I did last year and it still resonates with me, I have to keep that one #1, and we have to do Glacier #2. Sorry to all the Glacier National Park lovers out there. Maybe in a future video I'll be saying it's my #1, but alas. #3, I think I gotta go with Zion. Zion we also did back in 2023. We did a pretty long trip out there where we did like Zion and Bryce. We also hit up Antelope Canyon. And we also went to the Grand Canyon on our way around here. That's gonna be a whole nother video too. I just haven't got around to working on that one yet, but Zion it's gorgeous. It's huge. I definitely could go back. We only spent, I think, like 2 full days in Zion. We did not get a permit for Angel's Landing, so we did not do that hike. However, we did do Observation Point, and that one was fine. It was a good hike. I wouldn't say the views were great the entire hike, but what you get to see at the very end, where you're kind of like overlooking the entire area, and you even get to like look down on the people who are hiking Angel's Landing, that was pretty cool. I still look back at that. But I think my #1 pick for Zion would be the Narrows. I went into doing the Narrows with like 0 expectations. I'm not a water person. I don't like being wet. I don't like trekking through the water. But everywhere I read when planning that trip, it was, you have to do the Narrows. So I looked into it. I made sure that we were ready. I figured out the whole, like, we gotta get rental gear because I'm not going and trekking in the river with like my regular clothes. Like, I need some good shoes. I want a stick. I'm a klutz. I will fall. I literally trip over my own feet. I needed a stick. So we ended up doing it. We got ready. We went to this rental place. The entire time I was still like, I'm not gonna enjoy this hike. I already know it. I don't like being wet. It's kind of cold. And then we got down there and I was blown away. The views, just like being down inside this canyon is just, it's undescribable unless you actually like go and do it yourself, which I definitely recommend. Definitely plan it though. I mean, obviously, like if you're hiking down in this canyon, the chance of, like flash floods are very real. So make sure if you're traveling to this park, like during rain season, is it a high chance for this? Keep an eye on the water flow. There were still sections though where, I mean, like the water got up to like my knee, and if I would have taken a certain route, like it would have gone even higher. And I'm not saying I have like the longest legs, but I definitely, like, imagine being in knee-high water and slipping and falling. Like, you will definitely get carried at least a little bit. You're going against the current as you're like heading into the canyon, so that's tiring in itself, you know. You're also waiting for people so that you're able to cross in certain areas that are safe. I mean, I'm sure this hike is completely different depending on like how high or low the water is, but I would say we got pretty lucky with when we went. We went pretty far into the canyon. Like by the time we turned around, there really weren't that many other people with us compared to when we started and you were like fighting in like a crowd of people everywhere you went. Turned around when it was starting to get a lot deeper, there was a lot less people, so it was kind of harder to, you know, gauge where you could safely cross and walk, because I mean, it's not like you could see through this water. So there were definitely sections where you were like using your stick to kind of like figure out like how deep each section was before you were crossing. So we kind of got to a point where it was like, listen, we're tired, we're hungry, we don't want to be the first one to fall and, you know, potentially like break something, sprain something. Like, no, it's okay. We've seen enough, we're good. We went back. And then obviously the trek back was so much quicker because you're going with the current. But with that comes its own thing because you're a lot more likely to get caught in it and slip. I definitely, on the way out, didn't really have any areas where I felt like I was about to go in, but on the way back, my foot would catch a couple times with the current on like a slippery rock and I would, but we made it, no injuries, we were good, still doing great. So I think that'll do it. I might do a video about my favorite national parks like every couple of years. I'm still working, I'm still young, I got loans to pay off. Your girl can't go visit all the national parks in the next year as much as she would love to. I actually don't have any plans to visit a new national park yet in 2025, so I'm just gonna love and relish this time talking about the parks I have been to and reminiscing all these old memories. Hope you've enjoyed this, and with that, I will see you guys in the next one. Thanks so much.